A fatwa, an Islamic fatwa, has been placed upon my head. A fatwa is an edict or decree made by an Islamic scholar or what they call jurist, someone who was familiar with the Sharia, the Islamic law. Not just anybody can give a fatwa. It has to be someone accredited, someone who was a scholar, as I said, and imam. And a fatwa could be for good things like plant more trees, be nice to people, or a fatwa could be condemning something, or a fatwa could be a death sentence. Generally, people see a fatwa or understand a fatwa as a death sentence. As I study and find out, apparently, it's not just a death sentence alone, even while that has gotten more attention, but it's the other things as well. It's a mundane um, edict, a fatwa. But unfortunately, it has gotten the jacket of being a death sentence. I think many of you remember the fatwa against the guy that wrote the book Satanic Verses. I forget his name right now. It'll come Salman Rushdie. And of course, eventually that fatwa was removed off of his life. And Osama bin Laden and some of the so-called militant Muslims, um, um, the imams and some of the what do you call those guys, ayatollahs, give out fatwas of death sentence against people who have offended the religion of Islam or Allah or the Islamic community, Ummah, and the fatwa is carried out to people who are against the movement of Islam. And unfortunately, I believe a fatwa has been released upon me. The people who released the fatwa, I don't think they would say that they put a fatwa on me, or that they would deny it, or that they would call what they said a fatwa to me. But the words that they used against me in describing me, I think amounts to a fatwa. Words such as I am divisive, I am hate-filled, I've used hateful language against the Islamic community and religion, I've spoken against Allah, the deity of Islam, and I am an anti-Muslim. And consequently, those kinds of words in the ears of the wrong person, um, let's say, for example, a young man or woman who wants to see themselves as a holy warrior. You may want to close that door. A young person that may want to see themselves as a holy warrior defending the faith um, could take the words that the Islamic leadership have associated with me as a license to come against me. Or it could be someone who claims to be a Muslim and who has not been living according to the Islamic teachings or the teachings of the Prophet, having, drinking, carousing with the ladies and drugs and doing bad things, knowing full well enough of the religion, the teaching, that when they die, when they appear at the day of judgment, that the chances of them going to hell sent by Allah are pretty good, that they'll go to hell. And if you read the Quran and see what goes on in hell, there's a great fear there. There's a great fear of the day of judgment. And the only way that this backslidden Muslim can escape the day of judgment is, at least as I understand it, is to die in jihad. As you know, jihad is not just physical warfare alone, but jihad also means the struggle, the internal struggle of every human being to live a better life before God. And that is it is the most difficult struggle that anybody has, is a struggle against themselves in order to live before God. That is jihad. But on the other hand, to die in physical battle in jihad, from what I can understand, is the highest way of entering into paradise. It's better to die in jihad, or to die as a shaheed, martyr, fighting in war and being killed in that. You don't apparently you don't go to the day of judgment, but you go directly to paradise, and you lean back on thrones and drink the nectar of heaven, of paradise in the garden, and of course you have the women at your disposal and other goodies. I am very concerned about that. Um, while I do not believe that the leadership who has spoken these words against me would ever order a hit on me, per se, I do believe, however, that they have, by their words, created an environment and an atmosphere by which someone could take license to hurt me, some lone individual out there. And I think that the only way that I can be protected from that lone, uncontrolled individual out there who would be thinking he is doing or she is doing God's service by harming me, my family, friends, associates, supporters, or my property, or continue to speak evil against my name, the only way that individual will be stopped is if the Islamic leadership that said these words about me issue a fatwa to that individuals, whoever they are out there, and say, if you touch this man, if you touch Ted Haeyes in any way, kill him, harm him, his family, friends, associates, relatives, or his property, you will go to the day of judgment, and the day of judgment you will probably be sent to hell. The only thing that would stop that holy warrior is the fear of the day of judgment and going to hell. And that's the only thing I think will stop this. I think that just as the Islamic leadership held a news conference at the mosque, at the Islamic Center of Southern California on Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles, as they preached a sermon against me, and then on Juma, and then shortly thereafter held a news conference using these denunciating words against me. Even as they did that publicly with the press, they need to also relieve me of the fatwa through the press. Anything short of that is unacceptable by me. And if it's not done, then I will have to take the necessary measures to not only defend my reputation as a public figure in this community, in this country, but I will also have to take measures to defend my life as well, and that of my friends and family. What caused this problem? September the 11th, 2001 is the root of it, apparently. On September the 11th, 2002, here in Los Angeles, I and the homeless people wanted to do a memorial to what happened September 11th, 2001. And we went to the South Lawn of LA City Hall, where we reenacted the tower attack, the Pentagon, and the Pennsylvania Field. And we paid homage to our fallen fellow citizens and denounced the terrorist act. 2003, we held our second annual, what we call Sunrise Vigil, lest we forget. September the 11th, Sunrise Vigil, lest we forget. And we held it once again on the South Lawn of LA City Hall. Along with the vigil, we had gotten a resolution written up by the government of the city of Los Angeles for September 11th, Sunrise Vigil, lest we forget. And I have here a copy, or the original copy, of the resolution that was signed by the Honorable Jan Perry, Councilwoman, seconded by Antonia Villagrosa, signed by Mayor James K. Hahn, and the President of the Council, Alex Padilla, and of course the City Clerk signed it as well. And I believe I understand that no resolution or proclamation can go forward to the Council unless the City Attorney has gone over the material and the wording to be sure that nothing in the resolution is offensive to anybody, thereby bringing upon the city a lawsuit or negative situations. Well, here is the resolution. Now, I also wrote, well, let me just say that this resolution was subsequently denounced by by Jan Perry, the mayor, and Tony Villagrosa and Alex Padilla. They rejected the resolution, and they denounced me in the process because of the wording in the resolution. I admit I wrote the draft copy of the resolution and gave it to the deputies of the city of Los Angeles. They went over the document. I wrote, of course, much more than what you see in here. This is what they sent me. Before they gave me this, they sent this. And they condensed it. They did not send it back to me and say, Ted, what do you think about the wording of the resolution? Is this to your liking, or, do you have any objections to this? They just sent it back to me as completed. When I read the resolution, I was shocked. I was amazed. I have witnesses here at the Dome Village because I called a meeting of all the residents here and said, look at this. Do you believe what's here? Not that I disagreed with what was here. I agreed with what was here. But I was shocked at the language, the strength of it, the purity of it, the truth of it, that about time someone spoke up. In the language, it says, whereas the attacks against the United States of America of September 11, 2001 marked the beginning of our homeland defense against terrorism. Whereas the attacks have caused U.S. citizens to denounce any group, organization, or nation who dare to threaten or carry out acts of terror against America and her allies. Whereas the attacks have forced all of us to be more vigilant against any such acts of terror in the future and be ready to defend ourselves at all times. Whereas, in remembering the victims of September the 11th, 2001 and their loved ones, friends, and business associates, we also remember and acknowledge the truth. Now here is the controversy as to who the perpetrators themselves claimed to be. That is, Muslims, carrying out the will of the deity of their religion, known as Islam. The second paragraph says of offense, whereas backed and fully supported by all citizens in Los Angeles, we encourage Muslim Americans to increase and intensify their open and public denouncements of those members within their religion and Ummah community who continue to engage in acts of terror. Whereas, in order to keep alive the memory of the victims of September the 11th, 2001, and the damage done to our nation, September the 11th Sunrise Vigil will take place this September the 11th, 2003. Whereas the September 11th Sunrise Vigil will be the first memorial event of the day in the city of Los Angeles, which was inspired and orchestrated by homeless activist Ted Haeyes and a small band of homeless people from JUSTICEVILLE Homeless USA, the Dome Village, and Rabbi Alan Freeling. Whereas the participation of homeless people in the event presents a gesture of patriotism from the poorest of the poor and demonstrates to every U.S. citizen that love of country must transcend every level of American society. Now therefore be it resolved that by the adoption of this resolution that the Los Angeles City Council and the mayor recognize the September 11th Sunrise Vigil that will be held this September 11th, 2003 on the South Lawn of City Hall and joins in remembering the thousands of lives taken from us on that infamous day of September the 11th, 2001, acknowledging as a city that we will never forget this tragic day in our country's history. Presented by Jan Perry, Councilwoman of the 9th District, seconded by Antonio Villagrosa, Councilman, District 14. We did not say in this resolution that it was Muslims who attacked our country. We said these were perpetrators who claimed to be Muslims. If they claimed to be Christians, if they claimed to be Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, whatever, if what we say is true in our faith, And what these people did was out of our faith. They are not Muslims. They are not Jews. They are not Christians. They are perpetrators, hijackers. They are imposters, interlopers who stole our faith and abused our faith. That's all we said. They claimed the idea